Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Tech in 10, the Louisiana Tech football show from the Ruston Daily Leader. I am sports reporter Matt Belinson, and like I said at the top, welcome back. It's been quite a while since I've done one of these. Obviously, the last time I came on here and gave my thoughts on the Bulldogs, they just ended the 2022 season with a loss to UAB at home to officially close out the year 3-9 overall in the first year of Sonny Cumbie and this coaching staff. But a lot has changed since I last got on here and kind of gave my thoughts on Louisiana Tech. 20 new transfers coming into the mix, a couple coaching staff changes. There's a new Champions Plaza that's going to be unveiled, in the fall, this time next season. There's just so much to get to that I thought it was kind of worth just hopping back on here and just kind of giving my 2 cents on all of the change, related to Louisiana Tech. And, maybe in the same time, gave my thoughts on just where I feel like the 2023 season may be going. Because, for a lot of Bulldog fans, year one did not go as they expected under Sonny Cumbie, and I think the change was definitely necessary in a lot of different ways. So I thought it would be kind of worth just hopping back on here and just giving my general thoughts on Louisiana Tech. So if we want to, we could just dive right in. With unquestionably in my mind is the biggest transfer news of this offseason, and that's the addition of Hank Bachmeier. Hank comes over from the Mountain West at Boise State University. He was a 4-year starter there, for those that don't know. Won a lot of games there at one of the prestigious Group of Five programs in the country, and is now joining Sonny Cumbie in this air raid offense here in Ruston. And talking to Hank and coaches over the last couple spring practices, I'm recording this the day after Louisiana Tech's spring game to officially cap off its spring season. It's pretty clear that Hank is coming here and ready to buy into Louisiana Tech. I think in this era of transfer portal where, potential, Power Five guys or, really big group of five guys, they come to a program like this or any others that on the outside looking in are struggling and on the surface, we'll take all the help we can get. I think for Hank, the real cool thing is that he's come here already and has established that, no, I'm a Louisiana Tech Bulldog and I'm going to help this program and I want to be a part of this program, potentially getting back on top of Conference USA, going to a bowl game, doing all the things that this program is used to doing. And I feel like that's really encouraging because I think a lot of times in this transfer portal era, it's all about how can this school help me? How can I help this school? How can I get to the NFL? And those are pretty much the baselines of why someone wants to transfer. It's rare that someone of Hank's pedigree comes to a program like this, number one, and number two, wants to be a change agent. He wants to help this program. He doesn't want to just come here, get to the NFL, and then say goodbye and never, be associated with Louisiana Tech again. He said in the first spring practice that we met with him that his goals, he wants to win a Conference USA championship. He came here to help Sonny Cumbie run this air raid system to its full effectiveness. And I get a sense that he's going to be a real upgrade for this group. Now, again, it's spring practice. It's Louisiana Tech versus Louisiana Tech at this point. I'm not going to make too big of a deal of what I've seen, in practice. Because, again, the Bulldogs don't open the 2023 season for another couple of months here. But I thought it was worth mentioning that Hank Bachmeier, he looks to be a real upgrade for this group. He's looked accurate. He's looked poised, great downfield arm strength, great downfield accuracy. And I think he's just carrying himself with a sense of confidence that has already rubbed off on teammates. Talking to Dakota White, Marquise Crosby, Julian Lewis. Others on the offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball too. They get a real sense that Hank wants to master this offense, and frankly, he's already taken real big steps forward to get to that point. I think among the many issues that plagued Louisiana Tech in 2022, I think without question the quarterback position and the instability there, it has to be near the top, if not the top concern. Give credit to Parker McNeil, Landry Liddy, Jack Turner, Matthew Downing, all of the rest that manned that position for the Bulldogs. But if we're just going to call a spade, whether it be injuries or, turnover issues, just inexperience in the system, the Bulldogs did not get the most out of that position last year. And in turn, the offense didn't get the most out of itself last year. Obviously, towards the end of the year, they started running the ball a little bit more effectively. Parker McNeil, when healthy, he was really good, throwing downfield to his targets, but it was just too inconsistent to really get a true picture of what this offense can be going forward. And so I think if you're Sonny Cumbie, you have to feel good that you're now going to have a true pro and a veteran in this system and Hank coming in. Now, again, They haven't played anyone. They still have to get on the field this fall and win games. There's no doubt about it. But I think the biggest takeaway I've noticed from Hank in spring ball is that he has a true buy into this program and that he wants to master this offense. I mean, I know it's not a tangible point that you can really hold on to because, again, they're not playing against other competition yet. But I think that is a word and a phrase and an idea that Sonny Cumby, time and time again, as the losses continue to pile up for this group last year, I mean, you can go back and listen to other Tech and Tens. He said it as the year ended. There were coaches in this program and there were players in this program that were not fully bought into the vision. Now, again, as we talked, with Sonny Cumby during the spring, buying into that vision becomes a lot harder when the losses start to come because what am I buying into this vision for if it's not producing results? That's where the leadership comes in. That's where someone who has the authority to say, hey guys, it's time that we just cut all the nonsense and let's just go out there and win some games and try and build this thing together. I think it's really encouraging that you're seeing someone of Hank's pedigree coming in with expectations to be a leader for this program. He wants to be that change agent. He wants to help this group buy in. And I think the teammates are already buying into what he can do in this system. Julian Lewis said, I think we're going to take a real step forward. Now, again, it remains to be seen against other competition, but I think it's good to see that Hank has already made this huge of an impact, considering that you went into the portal, you went to Boise State and offered your services to him, and in return, he's coming here and he's already bought in. I think that's pretty encouraging. And to go to that point is kind of my next overall takeaway in this spring practice. It's just the energy feels different around this group. Again, they end the year 3-9 last season. They miss a bowl game. The first year under Sonny Cumby's tenure, it does not go according to plan. Now, again, that's for a variety of issues. The defense was not great. The offense too inconsistent. Just a lot of things that did not go the Bulldogs' way. That being said, they're tired of talking about 2022. For better or for worse, they want to clean their hands of the filth of last year, and they're ready for 2023. Again, when you bring in 20 new transfers, you make 3 position coaching changes, I mean, there's reasons to feel more optimistic about where this program is headed. Now, again, I know that's hard to sell after a 3-9 season, but in spring practice, from what I've seen, there's more life, there's more passion. I think that's something that Sonny Cumby, kind of prides himself on as a head coach, is that he wants the guys to have that buy-in, to want to have that intent, to come to practice and feel like they're part of something. And I think in spring practice so far, whether it be Hank, Dakota White, Marquise Crosby, Zach Zymas coming over from Arkansas, all of them individually, when we've talked to them, without, hearing what others have said, they've just naturally brought up that they feel confident. They feel like this is working. And again, I think it can't go overstated after a 3-9 year that if you come back to this spring with the same mentality of, we're still teaching, we're still trying to get these guys to buy in, that's a dangerous precedent. You could go 3-9 again. And I think it's so important that this program is already understanding that we're not wasting time teaching anymore. We're not wasting time showing guys the process and the standard. You should know the standard by now. Now, again, there's 20 new transfers coming into the mix. This spring was kind of their first taste of getting that culture. But I think it's so important that you're already starting at that ground level. It's not October of last year where Sonny Cumby and players would continually go into press conferences and say, we're still not understanding the standard here. We're still trying to master this system. And it's like, okay, but we're 5 games into the year, guys. It's time to get off the mat and actually produce. Now, again, it's just spring practice, so you really can't tell who's really producing. But from what I've seen, they want this to change. They don't want to be the laughingstock of Conference USA anymore. And again, they have to go out in the field and produce and show that in terms of wins and losses. This is a wins and losses business. But I think it's so important that you're already getting that culture shift, frankly, and especially when you bring in 20 new transfers. Again, it could be so easy to be in the exact same spot again of, okay, we got to teach Hank and Mark, and Zach Zymas and all of these running backs and linebackers and defensive linemen that we've brought into the fold. We got to spend the first 4 weeks of spring practice and maybe even fall camp of saying, hey, here's what we need from you this season. Here's how this offense and defense can get the most out of itself. Forget all that. I think it's so key that a group that frankly ended the year with such a sour taste in its mouth is coming back ready to work. Again, I know it's not something tangible where we're running for more yardage or, our quarterbacks are much more accurate and decisive in their decision making. we can't know that until the fall and until the season starts. That's why the spring is always, you have to kind of find, the finite things in between. You can't, make these big declarations. But from one thing I've noticed is that players are coming back to work. Sonny Cumby is getting this group motivated. And I think it's really encouraging if you're a Bulldog fan to recognize that, yes, as painful and as disappointing as the 2022 season was, that's not what's happening anymore. I think Hank is going to be a real upgrade for this group, as I've already mentioned before. I think the defense, it can't be as worse as it was and as bad as it was last year. They were a bottom three run defense in the country. They had trouble with penalties. There was just so many issues that caused that defense trouble. I think it's really positive and encouraging to know that you're closing out spring with optimism. Again, it would be so easy to come back this spring after a 3-9 season and just say, okay, we're just going to change everything. We're starting from scratch. Guys are going to have to learn again and frankly understand what it takes to win. I think they're already coming back with that mentality. There's not weeks spent, going over the game plan, going over how this system can get the most out of itself. Again, there's obviously still some teaching moments, especially for Hank in this offense, but I think it's really encouraging to see that Louisiana Tech is not wasting time. That was something that Sonny Cumby talked so much about was, year one, obviously there was going to be some admitted growing pains and people kind of gave this coaching staff and this program maybe a little bit of leeway, just understanding that it was going to take some time. But there's no more wasted time. I know it's kind of hard to say in year two, but this is a wins and losses business. Conference USA is going through major change. Louisiana Tech can take advantage of that change, and if things go according to plan, it can become a power again in this conference if things go the right way. And I think the first step in getting there is recognizing that there is a culture to buy into. We're not going to waste time teaching it again during the season. And that's what this spring was about. And I feel like it's really encouraging to know that Louisiana Tech is already starting at that baseline, because I can't tell you how frustrating from a media perspective it was last year just going into press conferences or post game and hearing the same message of, we're still trying to learn. We're still trying to master this system. We're still trying to understand this culture. It's just so refreshing to see that people are truly buying in and wanting this thing to get fixed. Because frankly, covering a 3-9 season is not the most fun. Certainly you can find fun in it, but definitely just from natural observers, winning helps everyone. And so I feel like it's really encouraging to see that this group is back and ready to work. So yeah, that's just my overall impressions of just kind of where Louisiana Tech is right now as they close out spring practice. Fall camp will kick off in August here, and yeah, the 2023 season begins August 26th versus FIU. I'm hoping to get back on here before then, but if not, I just want to thank you all for listening and just giving my 2 cents on the spring practice for Louisiana Tech. And yeah, I think the 2023 season, there's going to be some encouragement coming forward. So just want to thank you all for listening and have a good one.